Well, I'm honored to be here today with Dr. John Cobb. If you find yourself injured, he's not the kind of doctor who can help you, but he is the kind of doctor who can educate you about how you're feeling. President of Naropa University, a charming, handsome man, well-loved by the ladies and some of the men.
You're off to a great start. I might like to say I'm pleasured to be here.
Yeah. What happens in the green room, right?
Stays in the green room.
Yeah. So you're back.
I'm back, yeah.
John, you were president of Naropa from when to when?
93 to 2003, 10 years.
Okay. Yeah. And those were 10. Naropa started in when?
1974.
Oh, I should know that.
Yeah,
My parents were actually students that first summer, and I was born on the transition day between the two sessions.
Yeah.
I legitimately...
You were born or conceived?
Born.
Born.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wasn't going to get into the conception.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So then Naropa had 10 very expansive, amazing years in the 90s, and then you were telling me in the green room everything's gone to shit the last...
No.
I'm just saying how...
Actually,
yeah, I'm just messing with him.
Yeah.
No, so, and then you've been gone for 10 years.
Yeah, I've been gone for since 2003, and when Stuart Lord decided to resign, they came for me at a cocktail party.
Right.
And said, would you like to do it for a while? And
sounds like a horror movie. They came for me at a cocktail party.
Yeah, I know. But it was that's the way it happened. Yeah, I was very happily retired.
Right. So yeah, I knew Stuart quite well, and he was always very supportive of Elephant, which I appreciated. He was a sweet man.
Nice guy.
Yeah, and Thomas Coburn was great, had incredible style with the bow tie.
Yeah.
Good guy. So now, where is Naropa at? I know in some ways, along with the rest of higher education, it's struggling to expand in the same ways that it was before.
Yeah, I think that it's had a, when I left, I think it wanted to take an out-breath, and it grew a lot when I was there, and you could argue that it grew almost too rapidly and in too many directions. Of course, that was kind of something I enjoyed.
Right.
So taking an out-breath was a good thing. I think that, like any college, it's a tough business model, and if you don't grow, costs just outrun revenues, and it's very simple. So
it sounds like capitalism almost generally. You have to expand all the time in order to
and you
stay
have
in
to,
business.
And also with higher ed, it tends to be quite conservative. And we're kind of a very creative, liberated school in a very conservative, traditional model.
Right.
And so there's always that constant tension there.
Right,
and
Naropa was founded by a crazy wisdom Tibetan guru and had tons of, Allen Ginsberg, all the beat poets were there.
It really had an amazing send-off, a huge, explosive burst of energy.
Yeah.
And to actually become accredited in the short space of time that we did was absolutely amazing. But then with accreditation comes sort of like serious. This is serious suddenly.
Right.
And,
you have to wear blue blazers and great pants.
And when I got there in '93, we had 3 registrars in 6 months that had never been a registrar before. So there's that transition from that, a lot of students of the founder, a lot of magnetic activity and people drawn to it, and then you realize you have to have a registrar's office that actually works. So there's this quality of transitioning to the professionalization of the organization, and then you may carry that too far and figure out that you've lost the juice.
Right.
And so it's that keeping that dynamism all the time is really important. But the place is wonderful. I mean, I have absolutely, I love the place.
So from a leadership point of view, I know you teach about leadership. How do you inculcate, to use a good Scrabble word, that sense of being grounded in practicalities and QuickBooks and actually doing a good job running a university, but at the same time have that mission or that heart be alive and have that kind of crazy wisdom aspect?
Well, you have to, as a leader, you have to model it. And, people know that I can add, and I love budgets. I love to look at budgets. But on the other hand, I also attempt to write poetry and things like that. So yesterday at Shambhala Day and the New Year, the Tibetan New Year, I read a long poem. I could have talked about the strategic plan, but instead I read a long poem. So it's just that
Well, that's
quality.
much more fun to listen to for the students, right?
Yeah, and much more fun for me to make a fool of myself.
Right. So what was
yeah,
the message, if I may ask, of that poem generally?
Oh, it's the quality of sort of the gap in our minds between our vision of the place, this vision that we have in the place, and then what is actually happening. And you have to have this vision. But if they get too separated, it's sort of like they're held together in a dynamic tension. But if they get too far apart, like the reality and the vision get too far apart, then you've got a problem. Of course, if they get right together, there's no vision.
Right.
So it's basically, the poem was expressing that you have to keep that tension.
And in Chinese, as you know, that's the actual calligraphy, the symbol for king or ruler or leader is connecting heaven, the realm of vision, and earth or practicality.
It's exactly the same.
Through human beings.
Yeah. Exactly the same thing.
So where's Naropa going? Where do you, I know you're only coming in as interim president, right? Just for...
Yeah, there's a search for president, so.
So where do you feel like Naropa is... Yeah, you'll do. So where do you feel like Naropa is going from your vantage point of having...
I think it's really poised for growth.
Yeah.
And I think that I was just been thinking about it. It's sort of like, well, I'd like to build a new building, but then on the other hand, is the future of education headed in the direction of bricks and mortar, or is it headed in the direction of, that you're doing your thing, and how do we actually be a leader in delivering contemplative education in new and more effective and more accessible ways for people? I mean, because you look at the financing of higher education, which is kind of a don't get me started subject for me. But if you look at the financing of higher education in this country is a complete nightmare, and it's headed for disaster.
Right.
It's, there's almost $1 trillion in student debt outstanding. It's absolutely amazing. So.
Well, we're out of time, but...
we are?
Yeah.
Do you know that Waylon is a dropout of Naropa?
I couldn't cut it.
He's about to be my Bill Gates or Steve Jobs.
That's right.
Yeah, you better.
We'll go with Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He had a hotter wife.
Yeah,
no, I loved Naropa, my time there, and I actually left to start what would become Elephant Magazine and then elephantjournal.com. And as soon as I make my Bill Gates money, I won't give to good causes all over the world like him. I'll give to Naropa.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you. On a serious level, if you ever get the chance to hear John talk, he's one of the most charismatic and inspiring speakers I've ever heard. So if it's only for a few months, I'm glad you're back.
You're kind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, John Cobb, thank you.